Hello everyone, my name is Herald and I am a creator of small modular mods for Total War Warhammer 3, and I would like to give some of my opinions about the potential Kislev rework that actually CA have announced as part of their New Year blog. So I would like to give some suggestions on how to make Kislev campaigns play better. I guess at this point a certain elephant in the room is the starting position of Mother Ostankya, actually. She should start at home. It doesn't necessarily need to be Eastern Oblast or the Dukelis Forest to be more precise. It could be maybe the Skull Road or some potential new province that would be made so Ostankya can start there. Even though right now I do believe that Dukelis Forest would be the most optimal start for her, but she should start much closer at home. This ties into another problem, and this is the motherland mechanic, which is a very rudimentary political system for Kislev, which I believe should be much more expanded. Something that comes to mind is the Tower of Zhar mechanic from the Chaos Dwarfs in this game, but that mechanic on its own is reminiscent of the Senate mechanic all the way back from Rome Total War, which is something that I believe would be a better example for Kislev to follow. So, if you don't know that much about Rome Total War, a game from 2004, which was recently remastered, so it was a system that also included politics between three factions. So back in Rome Total War, it was the Julii, the Scipii, and the Brutii families who would at first compete for the favor of the Senate and the people of Rome by conquering other parts of the empire or listening or not listening to the Senate. And by the end, or in the later stages of the game, this could trigger a civil war where the most powerful faction could end up in a war with the rest of well, not Kislev, but Rome. But something like this could be an interesting example of what Kislev could do in 2024, or rather 2025, in this much newer game than Rome Total War. Maybe the dynamic of the beginning of the Civil War could be a bit different. Well, it rather should. It would It should involve many more factors, etc. But generally, the idea of these three factions having tense relations, but each of them focusing on their own enemies. So, Kostaltin focusing more on the northeast, Ostankya focusing more on the east. What did they say for Kostaltin? Northwest, I meant. Ostankya on the east and Catherine on the south and the southeast, and then basing on their popularity, so maybe the number of their supporters, they have different actions that they can do. One of those things could be confederation of one of the two other factions, depending who you're playing as. So if both Ostankya and Catherine expand a lot, and you're one of those two factions and Kostaltin doesn't, maybe you could have the option of confederating the second faction. However, there would be a chance of triggering a civil war if you do something like that, because the other powerful faction would feel endangered in that sense. Obviously, there should be many more different actions which could influence these various movements in the Kislevite political arena. Another elephant in the room that I might mention is, well, why is Ostankya here? So that is a part of one of my mods, Herald start positions, Ostankya and Kislev, which was recently updated with 6.0. And you can also see the changes in northwestern Kislev and southern Kislev. So the Druzhina enclave was moved down to southern Oblast, while most of Troll country is controlled by the Ungol kindred, while Throt is fighting with the revived Krakadrak dwarfs. This is part of another mod called Herald Start Positions Kislev and Norska, which I'm actively working on right now on updating, as this version is a bit different than the one that is public right now. But I digress. Furthermore, the campaign situation, or the campaign map situation with Kislev. So, as we know, Kislev is quite smaller than it is in the lore when compared with the Empire. So, from the maps that I had seen that are based on the lore, Kislev and the Empire are somewhat comparable in size, which isn't as visible on the Immortal Empire's campaign map. Now, do we need a new campaign map to fix this issue? It would be nice if Kislev could be expanded in some way, but that would be a lot of workload. That is not that necessary, I would say. Kislev and around Kislev has some space which isn't being used. This. You see how big this is. Now, try to think about the Realms of Chaos map. Do we have something like this there? Well, we do, but there's settlements there. So this would be a new area of expansion for either Ostankya or more primarily, because Katarin needs it more, or would need it more in this scenario where Ostankya starts in the Eastern Oblast / Duklis Forest. But yes, this space should be used. You should be able to expand through here, and if you want to get to Astrogoth, not necessarily going through the Astrogoth Mountains, where I'm actually placing Arbal in my mod, because I want Malachi to actually start around Karakdum somewhere, or in Karakdum itself. But okay, again, I digress. So, that is one space. The other space is this. Well, Troll Country by lore should be here, and Northern Oblast should be here. In previous iterations of Immortal Empires, they switched it up for some reason. But yes, this would be Northern Oblast, and this would be Troll Country. Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but there is quite some space around here, for example. Maybe we could somehow change a little bit of how everything is placed around here. Like, for example, we have these hills here, which are, well, just something, again, sitting unused. So Zoishenk maybe could be moved here. We could have a new settlement here. We could very probably make a new province over here in northwestern Kislev, which would then maybe enable some other things with Krakadrak, but in any case actually give Throt a province inside Kislev where he could expand easily, and so he actually completes a province, so he doesn't compete with Kostaltyn. The general geopolitical situation with Norska and the different factions which start here, I believe in vanilla, is a bit weird. That is something that I believe should be looked at as well, so that there isn't as much pressure on Kostaltyn early on, because he mostly gets destroyed in the first 10 to 20 turns, because both Throt and Azazel attack him, which is something that I'm actually trying to fix with HSP Kislev and Norska. Then, so besides the campaign map, we also have the issue of economy. The economy is something that I believe is rather easy to fix. This is another issue that I visit in my mods. So there's various ways in which you can do that. You can increase the income from the markets. So this is something that I haven't released yet. I'm playing it right now. It's just my private mod, but I do plan to release it. You could increase the income in the farms. So here you can see that I increased the income generated, but the cost of farms has been increased. You could modify these bonuses from the hallowed forest, or forest, sorry, from the forest line, so that it gives more income from farms. Maybe there's some other ways. For example, here, reduce the cost of eerie woods, increase the income generated by them, etc., etc. There's a lot of various ways in which you can very quickly fix the Kislevite economy. It isn't a lot of deep thinking. You just need to play with the numbers, really. Another thing, to bring Kislev in line with the changes that the Empire received, and for example, the Greenskins received with Omens of Destruction, so Empire with Thrones of Decay, bringing down the tiers for some units and actually eliminating a building. So what I did is eliminate the Royal Barracks chain of buildings, and I simply put the Tsar Guard inside tier 3 barracks, and I put the Griffin Legion inside tier 3 stables. So I moved down the Winged Lancers as a tier 2 unit to the tier 2 building. Okay, same I did with the things in the woods, whatever. So this is something that can also be played around. Ice Guard, same thing. Okay, so actually, I think I've talked about the 3 or 4 most troublesome aspects of Kislev. So by the difficulty of what needs to be changed and how can it be changed, number 1 is the politics. So that's the one that would require the most work, I believe. It would be a political system for Kislev, which would be reminiscent of political systems from other Total War games, which would include a move to Ostankya, which we could think about as the second change, which should be starting much closer to Kislev, if not in Kislev itself. With the politics system in place, I believe that Ostankya should start in Kislev. To be more concrete, I think there should be a settlement here somewhere called Duklis Forest, which would be a magical forest for Mother Ostankya, which could then also be accessible for Wood Elves, but that is another topic. Seriously, Duklis Forest, magical forest, I agree with this suggestion. Okay, so those are 2 changes. Third change, campaign map modifications. The Goromadny should be a province here. It shouldn't be a province that stretches all the way here. And here we could gain 2 new settlements, get it into a province with Karak Vlag, possibly for Dvarslav, have another province to play around with in this area. And also the changes to Troll Country / Northern Oblast, maybe even a Western Oblast province, depending if the cities are their own provinces or not. This is something else to think about. That, and then finally playing with the recruitment and economy of Kislev, which is mostly just moving the units down or up in different buildings, and playing with the numbers for the economy. And that's it. I believe this would fix most of the issues that people have with Kislev, and it would make Kislev a great campaign for any of the 3 factions. Oh, and of course, so I don't forget, so Boris Ursus should have his own faction mechanics. Okay, that would be all for now. Thank you all very much for your attention, and see you maybe in some other video, hopefully, as this is my first video. Thank you. Goodbye.